It's been more than 3 months in quarantine. It's possible you're starting to feel the way that I'm feeling right now. Things are just starting to feel a little monotonous. The proverbial hamster wheel feels so real right now. So with that, you might find yourself really challenged to do the things that require willpower that you know are good for you, but it's so hard to do it sometimes. The things that I've been struggling with the most are the most simple, basic things, but they're the things that maintain my foundation for the rest of my life. So they're pretty damn important. Things like exercising, things like meditating, and things like having a good sleep schedule. Here's my foolproof method that I use to ensure that I get it done. New York Times bestselling author Gretchen Rubin has this quiz online called the 4 Tendencies Quiz. I took it a couple of months ago and it confirmed something that I already knew about myself, but maybe for you it'll be very illuminating. Basically, I found out that I'm an obliger, that I tend to be motivated and tend to do things because I feel obliged to, which means that I need to be socially accountable to do something. A couple of years ago, a really close friend of mine, Marisa, and I came up with a system that was very effective. Marisa really wanted to take public transportation to work. So there was only one trolley that would show up at her place at a certain time, but the trolley was free. And instead of waking up to take the trolley, she would pay for Ubers. Now she knew she could save hundreds of dollars if she could just wake up in time to take the trolley, but because she knew that she had Uber as an option, she would almost always inevitably take Uber. For me, I was never going to bed on time and then never waking up early. I knew I wanted to be one of those people who could rise early, but I didn't. And she and I both struggled for a long time to make ourselves do these things, and we just couldn't. We just couldn't. Until Marisa had a fantastic idea. We used to show up at work around 9 a.m. every day for our stand-up, and Marisa had 2 jars. One jar was if we didn't do the habit, and one jar was if we did the habit. If we did the habit, great, we would put $1 in that jar, and that jar would be filled with money for us to eventually treat ourselves. If you didn't do your habit, you had to put $3 in another jar. That jar we chose to be donated to our current president, who we both really, really hate. Basically, if I didn't do the habit, I was giving $3 to Trump. But if I did the habit, I was giving $1 to myself. At the end of the month, because we would do it in a month time period, whichever jar had more money, all of that money would go to that cause. So that was a lot of motivation for me. I woke up every day that month on time, and at the end of the day, we treated ourselves to a really, really nice lunch. It was wonderful. There are apps that mimic the exercise that Marisa and I did. One in particular that is called Stick. I'll link to it below. Other things I've done to hold myself accountable are joining classes. So I know that if I join a class to learn something with other people and do them together, I will do it. I have been wanting to meditate for years and I've never done it. So over quarantine, I joined a virtual MBSR class, which is the mindfulness-based stress reduction class. And I learned how to meditate in that class. It was 8 weeks long, and the commitment to take the class was that we had to meditate every day for 45 minutes. Now, there is no way in hell that I would have ever been one of those people who could have meditated for 45 minutes if I hadn't taken the class. I mean, prior to the class, I couldn't meditate for like 3 minutes. Lastly, the simplest and easiest way that I use to hold myself accountable is through the use of an app online called FocusMate. I will also link to it below. FocusMate is this wonderful online service that basically matches you with somebody for 50 minutes and you work together. I've been using it because I work remotely and it's wonderful. However, I knew that when my meditation class ended, if I wasn't held accountable to meditating every day for 45 minutes, I wasn't going to do it. So, what's a girl to do? I scheduled FocusMates every single day for the rest of the month, specifically so that I could meditate. I have been meditating every day. It's been a couple of weeks, and most of the time I am meditating on a FocusMate. And that got me thinking, FocusMate can be used for so many other things to hold ourselves accountable. I've also used FocusMate to schedule exercise sessions. I've used FocusMate so that I get out of bed on time. So let's say, for example, I want to be up and start my morning routine by 7:30 a.m., then I will schedule a FocusMate for 7:30 a.m. so that I know that someone's waiting for me to show up. If you're not feeling super motivated and you don't want to be held accountable and you don't want to have tons of willpower right now, I understand that too. It's been a really complicated time, and I think you should use it if you want to use it. Last week I got sick and I canceled all my focus mates to wake up early and let myself sleep in a little bit because I knew I needed that. But sometimes showing up to something or being accountable to something helps motivate me, and it starts this positive chain of events. So use it as you will. And if you have any tips or thoughts on how you've held yourself accountable during this very challenging time, then please share them below. And if you're not a socially accountable person, I'm sure there are lots of other things you can do to hold your feet to the fire. And I'm curious how you do that. So let me know below. All right, well, that's it for now. I hope that you are able to do something that you've really not been wanting to do this week. And I hope that after it, you're like, damn, that was easy. That was so good. Also, taxes are due in a month.